Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Prabhupada. We are very, very fortunate to have our very, very special speaker, Her Grace Saci Devi Mataji, who is a dear disciple of His Holiness Sachinandan Swami Maharaj. Mataji is very, very well known, and we were very blessed to have our Sangha in Singapore some 17 years back too. As Mother Kunti actually in the Bhagavatam prayers, how she says, Janma Ishwarya, Shuta Shribhir, all that can be an hindrance, but Mataji has used all her talents in serving the Lord very wonderfully. She's a very, very accomplished singer, and we are extremely blessed to have her in our ISKCON Farmington Hills Srimad Bhagavatam morning program. So without further delay, we would like to invite Mataji to speak and enlighten us by loudly chanting Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari
Thank you.
Bol, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Thank you so much for the introduction, which is totally by my Guru Maharaj's mercy. All his blessings that I always pray that I can follow his instructions and ask for blessings from devotees that I can follow those instructions. So shall we begin? Yeah.
Yes, Mataji, please.
I think we are on till 9 o'clock. How is it, the timing?
Yes, Mataji, and then there can be open up for questions.
Okay,
Answers
so we sing Jai Radha Madhav and Jai Radha Madhav Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhav Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radhe Shyam Radhe Shyam Jaya Radhe Shyam Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jai Vishnu Pad and Hari Prajagat. Stotra Dashata Shri Srimad. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 29, Text 23. So we're going to have a response, so I just read. Okay. Dvishata parakaye mam manino bhina darshanah bhuteshu baddha vairasya namanaha shantim richyati. Dvishata parakaye mam manino bhina darshanah bhuteshu baddha vairasya namanaha shantim richyati. Dvishata of one who is envious. Parakaye towards the body of another. Just have to move the screen. Mam unto me. My own script because I can see some of the text. Maninaha offering respect. Vina darshanaha of a separatist. Bhuteshu towards living entities. Baddha vairasya of one who is inimical. Na not. Manaha the mind. Shantim peace and richyati attains. Translation: one who offers me respect but is envious of the bodies of others and is therefore a separatist never attains peace of mind because of his inimical behavior towards other living entities. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. In this verse, two phrases, Bhuteshu Baddha Vairasya, that is inimical towards others, and Dvishataha Parakaye, envious of another's body, are significant. One who is envious of or inimical towards others never experiences any happiness. A devotee's vision, therefore, must be perfect. He should ignore bodily distinctions and should see only the presence of the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord and the Lord himself in his plenary expansion as the Supersoul. That is the vision of a pure devotee. The bodily expression of a particular type of living entity is always ignored by the devotee. It is expressed herein that the Lord is always eager to deliver the conditioned souls who have been encaged within material bodies. Devotees are expected to carry the message or desire of the Lord to such conditioned souls and enlighten them with Krishna consciousness. Thus, they may be elevated to transcendental spiritual life, and the mission of their lives will be successful. Of course, this is not possible for living entities who are lower than human beings, but in human society, it is feasible that all living entities can be enlightened with Krishna consciousness. Even living entities who are lower than human can be raised to Krishna consciousness by other methods. For example, Shivananda Sen, a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, he delivered a dog by feeding him prasad. Distribution of prasad or remnants of foodstuffs offered to the Lord even to the ignorant masses of people and to animals, gives such living entities the chance for elevation to Krishna consciousness. Factually, it happened that the same dog, when met by Lord Chaitanya at Puri, was liberated from the material condition. It is especially mentioned here that a devotee must be free from all violence, jiva himsa. Lord Chaitanya has recommended that a devotee not commit violence to any living entities. Sometimes the question is raised that since vegetables also have life and devotees take vegetable foodstuffs, isn't that violence? Firstly, however, taking some leaves, twigs, or fruit from a tree or plant does not kill the plant. Besides that, Jivahamsa means that since every living entity has to pass through a particular type of body according to his past karma, although every living entity is eternal, he should not be disturbed in his gradual evolution. A devotee has to execute the principles of devotional service exactly as they are, and he must know that however insignificant a living entity may be, the Lord is present within him. A devotee must realize this universal presence of the Lord. So once again, translation, one who offers me respect, but is envious of the bodies of others and is therefore a separatist, never attains peace of mind because of his inimical behavior towards other living entities. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namini Sri Saraswati Devi So everything is actually in the purport itself. Especially in this verse, envy and being inimical to others is highlighted. And Srila Prabhupada says, one who is guilty of such behavior never attains peace of mind. The exact sentence is in the first line where he says, one who is envious of or inimical to others never experiences any happiness. And this reminds me, and I'll say it for now and we'll come back to it later, that Srila Prabhupada says, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. So, and here he says, one who is envious of others, inimical to others, will never experience any happiness. So the summary of the whole, of any topic in Krishna consciousness will always bring us back to chanting, okay? So I just wanted to, I thought it was nice first to talk about, we see that there is us, or the envious one, the one who is envious or inimical to others. And then there are the others who become victims of our enviousness. So here Srila Prabhupada says that we should be compassionate on such living entities, especially if they are in this material world and haven't even taken up any spiritual path, especially Krishna consciousness. So as we see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, his Kali Yuga avatar, and he especially came to deliver the conditioned souls. And therefore we who are on this path as devotees, we should see ourselves as hugely responsible to spread Krishna consciousness. And therefore, instead of being envious on other souls, we should, out of compassion and pity, make effort to enlighten them rather than being envious upon them. So we see one example, the perfect example of someone who took great troubles in spreading the message of Krishna is Srila Prabhupada himself. And he went through so many hardships in order to spread Krishna consciousness, coming, firstly, traveling in a steamship to come to the USA, and with no facility whatsoever. He only had his Guru Maharaj's instructions, his spiritual master's instructions, and a fixed focus on what he has to do. So can you imagine if Srila Prabhupada arrived in US and then just criticized everything around him, or stayed at a home of non-devotees, and then just found everything wrong with their lifestyle, their habits, and just went on finding fault with everything they do, he would never touch their hearts, right? Rather, Srila Prabhupada thought of the message that he has to give, that he has to save so many conditioned souls. And because he had this immense compassion for all, actually, that's how we are here. Yesterday, I was thinking that there are so many devotees. I asked Mataji how many devotees come to the temple, and she was giving me a brief summary of how many temple centers are there in Detroit and surrounding, and the number of devotees. And I was thinking that so many of us have moved out of India and settled abroad in different parts of the world. And by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, because he went to every country and started the Hare Krishna movement and spread Krishna consciousness, because of his compassion for all, irrespective of our fallen status, he left Krishna consciousness. So today, when we have left our roots for various reasons, but we come abroad and we have, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, his books, we have temples, we have association. And so that itself is a great example of how we should follow in his step and not be envious or critical of others. Simply, we should think that it's our duty as well. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada, and the full parampara have taken such a responsibility because of the compassion they have. So we should also have that compassion and kindness to all living entities. So specifically, Srila Prabhupada, I've seen nowadays, we belong to many, to groups, religious groups, not necessarily our movement, but groups that are coming together to spread Sanatan Dharma. And very often you have some of the members, they would mention in the group that, oh, instead of, offering puja and spending so much on temples, we should rather take care of the poor. And so they go on drives, hamper drives, and ask people to donate various foodstuffs, which they put in a hamper and they distribute. And we see that Srila Prabhupada trained us to serve prasadam to these, to the needy. We don't offer uncooked, because what is the point then if we just give them all the facilities? Some people like to donate money personally, and they feel that that is better than giving in a temple, or they want to give food hampers. And by serving prasad, actually, we have gone to the root problem of these living entities. So we cook, we offer to Krishna Bhagwan, and that is so purified, sanctified food we are giving. So always remember, I remember once His Holiness Radhanath Swami in Mumbai, for example, at almost every signal, you will get a beggar coming to your window and asking, and it's a habit to give some money, quickly, so that, or just move on without giving anything. And His Holiness Radhanath Swami said that always keep some dry nuts or dry food or something. You must have something to give them, because giving them prasadam is better than giving them money or not giving them anything at all. And if we give them money or Lakshmi, and if they misuse it, then it's also not good for them and not good for our karma also. So always have prasadam with you, because you are then treating them at soul level and ensuring that they get purified within, not just externally, and that they can also get attracted to Krishna consciousness and get a better birth, or hopefully go back home to Krishna. So another point is that our thoughts also are very important, because maybe we don't physically or, have envy on anybody. Just by thinking negatively about somebody, our thoughts can harm a person. So we should be very careful our thoughts. Now I want to come to us, those of us who envy, what impact it has on us, I once did a workshop on envy, and I forgot now to get the instruments, but just imagine if this is a bowl, okay? I hope this is a kartal, no doubt, but just imagine if it's a deep bowl, okay? And Mahaprabhu is pouring mercy and you are receiving it in your bowl. So this bowl is actually our heart, and we are receiving it, all the mercy that is flowing. That's how it should be. But what happens if this bowl has holes like a sieve, okay? And the nectar is flowing from Mahaprabhu. And what is happening is that through all the holes, it is just dripping out, just falling out, okay? So this analogy that I've just given, these holes in our heart, where all the mercy is just flowing out and away, some of these holes are envy, lust, anger, greed, these kind of things. So envy is one of it. And therefore, you must know that for us as devotees, if we inflict hatred, envy on anyone, we've just made the hole bigger and bigger. And what's happening is then we're not receiving the nectar and our spiritual life is getting destroyed. So a person who is envious, he'll never have peace of mind. He never experiences happiness. In fact, when Yudhishthir Maharaj was asked what is enviousness, he defined enviousness, or he described it as a lacking of the heart or a sadness of the heart. You become very sad, actually, because envy means you are losing, you're unable to hold the nectar that is flowing from Mahaprabhu. And unfortunately, envy is such a thing that when we become envious of someone, we not only envy what they have and what we can't have or don't have, some people can even go to the extent of making sure that that person also will not have it anymore. So it can turn you very demonic, actually. And therefore envy is like poison. It spreads through your body and it will just permeate your consciousness and destroy your spiritual life. So therefore envy is something that we really need to be very, very careful about, okay? We also know that when we, after we cleanse ourselves in the morning, we apply tilak on our body, and so often we become habituated to it. But the purpose of is that we, the Lord is present on our body and we can't see it on others. So that's a very sad state of affairs, that we do things mechanically, but we don't realize that the super soul is present in each and every entity. And we acknowledging it in ours, but we don't see it in others. And therefore we inflict such pain upon others. So in Bhagavad Gita, I think there is a verse which I don't recall at the moment, but Krishna says that envy actually begins with God, with him. So if you, for example, if you envy another devotee, okay, just as an example, your spiritual master came and maybe, he gave a garland to another devotee, or one of your devotees said that I got received a letter from Guru Maharaj and you didn't get one. And so you start to feel like, feel a little bit sad, but it's a touch also that, oh, I didn't get, and maybe also why didn't the Guru Maharaj, reply to me? But actually, when we see devotees advancing in their Krishna consciousness or receiving blessings from spiritual master or acharyas, we should be happy for them. If we don't feel this happiness in our heart, okay, so in other words, we are even questioning the spiritual master, we actually questioning even Krishna, okay, because everything is ordained by Krishna, right? By Krishna Bhagwan. So if he wills that somebody should get something, it's because they needed it in that time. And by us thinking negatively about it, we're actually questioning, right? So we become a little envious even of Krishna and his actions. And that's where it says that envy begins actually with Krishna. We have to be really on guard with this, okay? A beautiful Leela in Chaitanya Charitamrita is when Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami, they went to Jagannath Puri to meet Lord Chaitanya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he placed both his hands on their heads and he blessed them, right? And in return, the Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami, they placed their feet they place their lotus feet under Mahaprabhu, right? They place their head, at the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu. And after this, the Lord, he embraced them and he requested all the devotees present to be merciful upon them and deliver them. And what did all the devotees do? There was loud, resounding chanting of the Mahamantra, and all the devotees got together and they blessed Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami, who were, head down at the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu. And this was how, this is a perfect example of how we should be. We should rejoice at other devotees getting mercy and the movement spreading. So, where are we for time? Okay. Also, very often, if we are doing a service and if some devotee comes in our way, or we feel that, they are on our way, and maybe we may say something to them like, just stay away, I'm doing this or whatever. We should be on guard even for that, because sometimes we want to, capture everything for ourselves, that we can do it better, or we've been doing it all along, so we know how to do it. So, don't interfere or don't, we should not obstruct another devotee. We should have a way of, encouraging them in the service. One example that comes to mind is when the bridge was being built from Lanka, to Lanka, okay? And if you remember, Hanumanji was taking these big boulders and, throwing across into the ocean to make this bridge for Shri Ram's army to cross over. And if you remember, there was a spider, okay? So this spider obviously could not lift big boulders. So he was just throwing small dust particles into the ocean, because he wanted to be engaged in service. He was, wanted to be part of this, and he wanted to serve the Lord. So in his capacity, all he could do was just small dust particles into the ocean. And Hanumanji was, it's like the spider is on the way and this is not going to work. How long is it going to take you by the time you throw your dust particles? So Shri Ram, he said to Hanuman that, don't be proud, Hanumanji. The spider's devotional service, his bhakti, is just as satisfying to me as yours is. And he's serving me according to his capacity, and you are serving me according to your capacity. And Shri Ram was receiving both the service. He never saw one separate from the other, or one lesser than the other. So, so this point was that we should just be on guard, that because we have maybe a higher position by dint of our years of practicing Krishna consciousness, or we've been assigned responsibility for a certain seva or department, and devotees do come very interested, and we don't encourage in a way. We have to be on guard that if we are not encouraging, what should be the reason? It should be maybe because the devotee needs a bit more training, which we should also facilitate. But we should guard against that, oh, now they come in and then I'm going to get less, or my service will be hindered. We should encourage them rather to be in service as well. So Srila Prabhupada once, two of his disciples were in conflict with one another. And Srila Prabhupada asked both of them who were present before him, what is the cause when two disciples of the same spiritual master cannot get along? So one disciple said to Srila Prabhupada, envy. And they both looked at each other, and Prabhupada said, yes. But who is envious is hard to tell, but time will tell. Who is envious is hard to tell, but time will tell, and how one branch will blossom and the other will wither. So I just repeat that. Srila Prabhupada asked the disciples, what is the cause when two disciples of the same spiritual master cannot get along? And they gave the answer, envy. And Prabhupada said, yes. But who is envious is hard to tell, but time will tell. One branch will blossom and the other will wither. So in our scriptures, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, there are so many examples of envy. How envy destroys, Hiranyakashipu and Prahlad Maharaj, perfect example that who suffered in the end, Hiranyakashipu. So if we are going to be envious upon another, who will suffer the most? We will suffer the most. Our spiritual life, our spiritual growth is hampered terribly. We begin to suffer so terribly that it's like I said earlier, that it's like poison that seeps through and just permeates our consciousness. And what happens is we become bored in class. We become bored with chanting the holy name. We don't like to see devotees anymore. We become, just not interested anymore in anything spiritual. And that's very sad. So on this point, I also want to say that sometimes we come across devotees who unfortunately suffer on this path and then they leave the practice. And we should take it again upon ourselves to try to save them, rather than think that, oh, he was envious, he did this, she did that, she was not thinking the right things and now she left. So, and chapter closed. No, we should always pray to, if we cannot do anything, we should at least pray to the deities that devotee will get back on the path. On this incident, I always remember that the first Krishna book that came in print into Srila Prabhupada's hand when the devotees presented to him, there was a devotee that left Srila Prabhupada at that point of time. Again, I can't remember the name, but and I don't want to say the wrong name by mistake, but he had come at that point of time to see Srila Prabhupada, although he had left. And Srila Prabhupada just gave the first Krishna book to him. And, I just thought at that time that was the first print, the first Krishna book that came. And Srila Prabhupada didn't say, oh, this is my book, it's the first, keep it, as a memory of the first one that ever came out. And no, he just opened it and he was so happy with the devotee service that they eventually, copies of the books are out. And he just passed it on to the first devotee who actually had left Srila Prabhupada at that time. So can you imagine now that kind of, mercy and compassion, and not thinking that, negatively about that devotee, that, oh, he left, so I don't want him to get the book. Srila Prabhupada just passed on that book on to him. So Mahaprabhu's mercy is overflowing, okay? And I told you that example of the container, we should make sure our container has no holes. I always like to end any class or session with the fact that Srila Prabhupada said, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. And that is the solution to any problem that we come across. If we are having any issue and it's affecting us, we must always ask ourselves, is my chanting, my japa going properly? Srila Prabhupada and Mahaprabhu's mercy is overflowing. Mahaprabhu gives love through the chanting of the holy name. And if our chanting is offenseless, then we will receive it without any holes. We'll get Krishna Prem. But the moment we have offenses, then our chanting, that means there is something wrong in our japa. And so we have to always go back and focus on our chanting. And I always say that we should go into a quiet place where we can get into mindful meditational chanting, not just chanting, with our mind occupied elsewhere, our hands occupied elsewhere. In that way, we are fulfilling rounds, but we are not actually cleaning from within. And it's only when we go within and start cleaning from inside that we can shut all those holes that are there in our heart, right? Srila Prabhupada said that there'll always be differences between devotees. It's a natural thing if, devotees have some differences and they argue, or they have, they come with, or they have envy or oppose one another's rules or regulations. There'll always be something or the other, but he always stressed on the holy name. If you read any time, it is always Prabhupada's answer was, just chant the holy name. So once Prabhupada was asked by devotees that, how to become free of envy. And Prabhupada said, simply by chanting Hare Krishna. Lord Chaitanya has said that the heart will become cleaned of all the dirty things accumulated. And we don't have to endeavor separately. We don't have to, look separately for an answer on how to free ourselves from envy. In this age, it is only the Hare Krishna Mahamantra chanting that will purify us. And therefore, we should put all our energy and time into chanting his names, because that is the only solution to everything. So I think I've come to 9 o'clock. How do we do now? Do we have questions? I'm not at all a scholar. I just like to focus on my music and try to be a good devotee myself. So, however, I will try to answer any questions that you may have. From Kishore Krishna Das to me. Thank you, Mataji. Hari Bol.
Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I don't have questions, but I'm so grateful to you for presenting this wonderful topic, emphasizing on so many points on envy, talking about wonderful examples. When Srila Prabhupada's disciples, you talked about when they were having conflict. I also like the point which you mentioned about Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami when they took the shelter of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called upon everyone, and then everybody started chanting and praying for them. Those were wonderful points, Mataji. Really grateful to you for sharing that. And the last and the most important point, which you said, is for all the questions or all the difficulties we have, there is only one answer, which is chanting Hare Krishna. I'm really grateful to you for sharing that.
That is why we encourage to holy name retreats, because we constantly need to remind ourselves that our japa is very important. Yeah. Thank you so much for appreciating, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, there is one devotee's hand raised, Nahush. Would you like to go ahead with your question?
Yeah, sure. So Hare Krishna Mataji, I came in a little bit late in the class, but I wanted to ask this question. As a lot of times, especially in the West, there's this concept of justice, of divine justice, and I've heard, being in Vaishnava circles, I've heard that mercy and beauty is thought of higher than justice. So I want to know, how can we resolve this this issue, but also not get into envy as to when we can expect for justice and when we can expect for mercy, but also how can we, whenever mercy is given as maybe a form of justice, how can we accept that mercy as a service? So like my question here is, like, how do we resolve this conflict between mercy and concept of mercy and justice, and not get trapped into this envy, if that makes sense?
So I can, I don't know about you mentioned in the US, so I'm not familiar with any circumstances exactly, but I'll talk in general. From my experience, I mean, we all go through, highs and lows, but like I said in the end, that if we focus on our chanting, I can't say that issues come to an end. I will say that we come to a kind of a calm and, peaceful mood within, so that we are not in anguish thinking about when will justice come, when will mercy come. We are just calm in every situation. So if there are any issues, I think always, that's why we should take it up to an authority and we should try to resolve it. But in that, we should ensure that we do not become so, wound up in it that it destroys us, because then we have caused a problem upon a problem, right? We already have a problem. And then we are trying to build up like anguish to expecting an answer. If it doesn't come as per our expectations, again, we are into further a problem. So for me, I found the best thing was that once I've requested for help, I wait patiently, but I have to make sure that my mental health is in order and that I keep chanting. I keep going deeper in my chanting so that I know that whatever externally it happens, I'm not affected internally. I also know that from my experience that everything may not be the way I want it to be. But I have faith in my spiritual master, may faith in Srila Prabhupada, I have faith in Mahaprabhu, I have faith in Radha Krishna. So I just keep looking more towards them than looking at the world. Today, if you see again the troubles that are going on, I found that even devotees are asking me about troubles that are going on in this world. Everything, political struggles, countries at war with one another, stems from envy. Everything stems. So you can imagine that it starts so small, gets big now, countries and, the whole world is in conflict, right? So it's not going to get any better, but it will get best within. And that's the only way I see that I can continue myself by not expecting answers so within and just purifying within and moving on here. I hope that helps somehow. Or if anybody else has an answer, because he mentioned situation in US, if you know exactly the scenario and want to offer an answer, yeah. Is he there? Okay.
That's what I was looking. Yes, he's there, Mataji.
Okay.
Nahush Prabhu, is it okay?
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you, Mataji. Anyone else has any questions or comments to make? Mataji, thank you so much. Actually, I have a question. Is it okay to ask?
There's one, Hare Krishna Mataji, this is Kadam Kanandas. Could you share your interaction with Srila Prabhupada, if that is okay to ask Mataji? That was in the chat box. Did you see that?
Maybe it was directly to you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it says direct message. Sorry, I'm so not internet savvy. Yeah, okay. If I could say very briefly, it was 1975. I was 11 years old at the time. It was in Durban, South Africa. The movement was, not yet. I mean, devotees had come before and were preaching. And so the first time Srila Prabhupada came and there was no temple. So Prabhupada came to the Sri Lakshmi Narayan temple, which was just down my road where we lived. And my father was one of the members of the temple. And in fact, we belonged to that temple. We used to go for all our prayers and festivals. And so South Africa at that time was under apartheid rule. So, Indians lived, there was segregation. So Indians lived separately. We had our temple and things like that. So Srila Prabhupada came to the Sri Lakshmi Narayan temple. And I remember, him arriving in, and he was looking so magnificent, glowing, but small in form, when he was small, but because they were these Westerners, tall, and I was like, what's going on, because we were used to Swamiji's coming from India. We didn't know Westerners, and we were saying that there is a Swami from India, and he just flowed onto the stage, he gave his class. But when he was leaving the venue, a flower from his garland fell in the row that we were sitting. My mother was first in the passage. So the flower fell in the passage where she sat, and we were next to her. So she picked it up. And at that time, my neighbor, her brother was in a severe road accident. And in fact, he was in hospital and the doctors had given up. They said that if he would survive by miracle, he would be totally a vegetable. No, he would not be able to function, but more likely he was going to leave his body. So my mother, out of compassion, took that flower and she gave it to the neighbor, and the neighbor took it to hospital. And that was 1975. So I always tell everybody that it's 2023 now. And that neighbor, he actually survived and is maybe a grandfather today, but he had a job. He just has mild, physical injury and slur in speech. But he continued to live and get married and have a daughter, I know, who is married, so probably has grandchildren. And that's just one flower from Srila Prabhupada's garland. So you can imagine. So that's my, my memory of Srila Prabhupada. I was 11 at that time, and definitely he had an impact on us. So much so that just after that, the movement, the preaching started, and so I got seva to sing at all the festivals, including the temple opening. And yeah. So again, that's Srila Prabhupada's mercy.
Jai, thank you so much for sharing, Mataji. That was very inspiring. Thank you. Devotees on Zoom, anyone else has any questions or comments? Mataji,
Yeah.
I have a question. It is okay if you have time.
Yes.
You're a very accomplished singer in the Bollywood too. So just could you share, like, when you sing your devotional songs, like you have shared with us in the past, like, it's two different genres totally. Like, how would you balance your devotion as you're performing your other
Okay, so
services too?
yeah, you must know that music is Saregama Padhanisa, those swaras, okay? Those swaras combination actually makes up music, right? And sa, the first swar sa, is short for shadaj. Shadaj means sha is 6 and aja means born of. So sa is that swar which when sung in proper pitch, sur as we say in music, will give birth to 6 other swaras. Rega mapa dhani. So sa is the main swar, the mother swar. If she sung properly, other swaras will take birth. So when it comes to music, initially I used to be criticized heavily that why do you sing non-devotional? I wouldn't say I'm a Bollywood singer. I'll say that I am a singer. And I sing from film songs, that includes Bollywood, obviously, to classical, to folk, to qawwalis, to Sufi, to everything, because it is about music. It's not about genre anymore. And of course, I'm wary about the lyrics. I wouldn't sing anything that is, abusive or, but it's about the music. So when we sing any genre, it's about connecting with the swaras. And like I described, it's like how we string pearls to make a garland for Krishna. It's about weaving my voice in those swaras that I feel so connected to Krishna and Srimati Radharani. Because after all, Krishna is the flute player and Radharani is the best singer. In all the qualities, I always look at that whenever I see she's the best singer, not me. I have to serve them through these swaras. So any song you give me, my focus is on not, oh my goodness, it's a movie song and that's going to be like, against any rules. I think about the swaras. I listen to it over and again. I sing it. I get myself involved on it, so much so that I may even sing it different from the origin, which is even better because you have to be you. Okay. So that's how I am connecting with the swaras to Radha Krishna, not necessarily where the song came from, who sang it, or whatever. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Mataji. That helps a lot. Thank you.
Like I said in the beginning, I'm not a scholar, so forgive me if the class may not have been, as normally, full of shastric based evidence and whatever. I just speak from my heart, whatever inspired me, I like to share. And hope to see many of you in Kirtan tonight.
Yes,
in the temple. Yeah. Hare Krishna.
Har Grace Saci Devi Mataji ki jai.
Hare Jai.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you
Hare
so
Krishna.
much,
Jai
Mataji,
Guru.
for the
Hare
wonderful.
Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Dandat pranam,
Hare
Mataji. Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Dandat pranam.